She was only 16. Isley, Valerie, Yael, and Courtney are 4 teenage girls from different parts of Greer, South Carolina. The only thing they have in common at first is fact they are like a Sam Cooke song. Only 16. But pregnant. Neither girl is from a broken home. Neither have alcoholic or drug-using parents. Isley is a straight A student, but biology quickly becomes her fave subject when she meets Hyuri Cute Not incredibly smart and loves Isley until he doesn't anymore. Valerie, just like Isley.Beautiful Smart Except when it comes to teenage guys. But Valerie comes from money, and as soon as baby daddy Sean hears this, he pretends to have so much honor in becoming a father. He smoozes Valerie's parents into letting him marry the girl, only to find out it's a blackmail, show me the money ploy. Yael is the poster child for looking for love in all the wrong places. Yael is 16 and already the mom of a 2-year-old son, but is now pregnant again. Truth be told, as long as her parents and homely sister are there to play mommy, Yael is determined to have babies until she hits the right pockets. Courtney is the most mature of the bunch. Well, not if you count the fact she has a child for a married man. But to her credit, she doesn't deal with him, not as long as child support pays his wages a hefty visit each week. When these 4 form a bond at the prenatal academy, they all wish they had known much more than biology allows. Part 1. Chapter 1. Isley's story. I'm not gonna be just your baby mama. My alarm clock went off at 5:45 a.m. I snaked my hand out to hit the snooze button. It was already humid outside, signaling it to be official. Today was the first day of school, and I was dreading it with every fiber of my being. But I still had a whole hour before I had to be up. I was going into my senior year, but this is supposed to be my last carefree summer. And it would be in more ways than one. My mobile phone signaled a text from my boyfriend Hyuri. Hyuri, you up? Mia. How else could I reply if not? Hyuri, anyway. Come open the door, your mom just drove off. Me okay. Damn. I really don't need to be bothered with him right about now. And as for my parents, my dad was not home from 3rd shift until 9 a.m. and my mom had just left for work. But trust, Hyuri is not their favorite person, especially right now. I walked past my sister Nisi, who was 2 years younger than I am, was asleep still. I opened the door and Hyuri handed me a dozen Dunkin' Donuts and 2 fountain sodas. As if that was gonna solve everything. He asked, you excited to be a senior? Our last year. I looked at him and rolled my eyes. Yeah, Hyuri, enjoy. At least you will be spending your last year with our friends, unlike me. I get to be new girl in a school for. Wow, pregnant teens. Isley. That is on your stuck-up ass parents. So don't blame me. Don't blame you. Fool. I am 16, I am pregnant, and your ass is the father. So tell me, who do I blame? Hyuri? Because for some reason mama and daddy called bullshit on immaculate conception. All the time I am ranting, he is getting undressed and into my bed. And me being the fool that I was, joined him. 15 minutes later. He was gone and I had to get a move on so I could be on time for my first day of my senior year at Carolina Vocation for Pregnant Teens. Hyuri was right though. I am enrolled to save my parents a certain amount of embarrassment, but Hyuri forgot to mention the fact his parents paid half the tuition. And were just as uppity, if not more uppity, than my parents. Hell, I was barely showing. And although I am not saying it is appropriate, but I would not be the first or last chick to walk the halls of South Carolina High School. But then again, at least at vocation school there would be other pregnant teens there. Not looking to make any new friends. My sister Birch and friends Tanya and Charla are the only females I trusted or hung out with anyway. And those tricks are gonna have to keep me up on the tea and on Hyuri. Yeah. I am not stupid worth a damn and never have, because he broke up with a chick he dated for 2 years to get with me. And that was only 6 months ago. Before I realized how much of a liar he is. Also, him being on the varsity football team and a shoe-in for college. #84 Hyuri Reed was a true gridiron star in the making. Between O.J. Simpson and Ray Kareth. But smarter. Not much though. So while I walk around with a baby bump at a private school, Hyuri does what he wants and I rarely see his ass unless like today, when he drops by for a quickie and drop off donuts that he gets for free because his brother is the assistant manager. But if it weren't for my parents, I would have no insurance, no money, no help at all. Damn. I gotta hit the shower and get ready to start my day. My phone signaled a text message from Hyuri. Isley, I am sorry. Maybe can hang later. We'll let you know. I just deleted the message. Never held my breath to anything, Hyuri says. Not about to start. Today. Chapter 2. The same fool twice. It seemed like my protruding belly made it into the kitchen 2 minutes before I did. I spell her breakfast cooking, and heard my mother and father in the kitchen laughing and talking gibberish. It could only mean one thing. Lil Tristan was awake and sitting in his high chair gumming on his teething ring. I entered the kitchen. As I sat down, my dad asked if I wanted coffee. I shook my head no. I leaned over to kiss Tristan and he squirmed and giggled. Top hit yay yay. He giggled and calling me by the pet name he used for me. My mom asked, do you need to re-enroll? Or are you still in the database at the school? She asked, shaking her head, probably wondering where she and Daddy went wrong with me. I was 16 years old pregnant. For the second time I gave birth to Tristan, a few months after my 14th birthday, and now here I am with my belly full again by the same lame-ass nigga Tristan Foster, and although he and I are broken up. Well, you get my drift. Anyway, like the song goes, you'll get the baby, but you won't hire your man. While he's busy loving every woman he can. He still attends high school but has been expelled for fighting over another random chick but trying to keep me, his baby mama and one child hidden away. I will never forget the day I gave birth to our first baby Tristan Ahmad Staggs. Yes, I know I should have let his ass go about his life. He was so adamant as to not giving our son his last name, but it made little difference to how I felt about anything. Regardless, he was not old enough to be tied down, he says. That's a half-truth. He just doesn't want to be tied down to me and has more than once showed me just that when he got to the hospital an hour after Tris was born with another bitch on his arm. My parents had gone home but would be returning later when visitation to nursery was allowed. I was sleeping off the drug-induced pain medicine. When he walked into the room, obviously the staff was already whispering the fact I was but 14 years old and just gave birth. Lil Tris was sleeping in his bassinet. I smiled at first until I saw Tangela Porter smirking as she walked in. Neither of them acknowledged my presence. This bitch-ass nigga had the audacity to pick Tris up from the bassinet, handing my baby over to Tangela. He then said, I'm not with this whole daddy thing and shit, so it is best if we ended this little thing we had. It was a mistake, not all your fault, but mostly the kid is real cute though, make sure the next nigga treat him right. But to be in his life, I have to be in your life, and that is what I don't want to do. I was still throbbing at the crotch, giving birth at 14 years old, and this nigga, the sperm donor, is telling me I'm on my own? Are you even like serious right now? Yes. I'm with Tangela now and pretty sure I'm gonna wife her in the future. If I want babies then. Tangela, not you, will give them to me. I was devastated. I mean, I know I was just his sex object whenever the girl he wanted did not submit. Leave Tristan. And don't ever come near me and my baby again. Before I could finish, this chick said that won't be a problem. I remember how painful it was in stitch pulling move, but I saw Tristan put my baby back in its incubator. As soon as I realized Lil Tris was clear, I played a surprise attack of leapfrog all over that hoe's ass. I had her ass good and subdued. 2 nurses heard commotion and ran in to see what was going on. I remember a nurse and needle. And I was out like a light. Woke up later in psyche ward and was evaluated and declared too young to be full-functioning teen mom, so this is how my parents were awarded custody. But with this new baby, I will be of age to legally keep my baby. And here I am now in the worst situation ever, being stupid enough to be pregnant by the same fool twice. Damn. I'm gonna be late. Wonder if I already knew the new girls? Chapter 3. Valerie. At least I got a ring on it. I walked into Carolina Vocation. I stopped in the hall to take out my schedule and found my first-class history. There were 20 pregnant girls much like myself, were teen moms-to-be. Except for this chick Yael, who was pregnant for a second time, 16 years old. Of course her parents had custody of the little boy. And this silly hoe pregnant again. And baby daddy still not claiming here or his seed. That I also knew this chick named Isley, who also was 16 and also with a deadbeat. I am pregnant also. But believe me when I say my situation is very different from theirs. See, I had been dating my man Sean for about a year before I got pregnant. He was in college at the time, but once I realized I was pregnant, my parents, his parents, and Sean sat down to discuss our future. And without much of a chance, my parents were not gonna let me get saddled by a guy who knocked their only daughter up, and let him leave me holding the baby, and my parents to hold the bill. So Sean was forced to put his college plans on hold, went to work at the same company as my dad. And 2 months ago, Sean and I were married. Sure, the day of the shotgun wedding is gone, but Sean nor his parents had no say in it. Especially since we are living with my parents. Yes, I know what parent in this day and age would sign for their 16-year-old daughter to marry a young man who had just turned 21. My parents, Terry and Renee Thompson, that's who. And although I am just 2 credits shy of getting my high school diploma, I am not attending South Carolina High for the remainder of senior year. I am attending vocation school for pregnant teens because being married, I am not re-eligible to attend. Dumb huh? I would be welcome to walk the hall with a baby bump, but a band of gold is taboo. So here I am taking a seat between Yael and Isley. Sounds more like an Isley Brothers concert at a university. They both spoke to me and grinned. Their eyes went straight to my ring finger, where a simple band of gold, flanked by a diamond solitaire. Yael grabbed my hand. You married? Thought you were 16. I smiled, and before I could speak, Isley said, wow. That is a huge piece of ice. I blushed and let them think Sean actually bought me the bridal set. However, it was a rather expensive set. It had actually belonged to my maternal grandma, who passed away a month before I was married. And she didn't exactly give them to me, but I convinced my parents that she did. What good would it be in the grave with her? Hell, she had been married 3 times. So when I went to her home with my mom to pack away her belongings, and jewelry box was the first thing I went for. Sean tried to get me a wedding band set from Walmart, until he could afford better. But when he realized Grandma had left her wedding set to me, he kept his $49.99 and blew it on beer and weed, which pissed me off. Hell, pregnant and can't get my puff give on. Sean was not exactly who I wanted to spend my life with, but I was not gonna be what Yael had perfected, and Isley was destined to be. Single teen mom. Chapter 4. Repeat attendant. Things have not changed since the last time I attended vocation here. There are at least 20 more females than last time, and to my relief I think Isley and Valerie are gonna be way cool. Isley, whom I already knew of due to the fact her baby daddy and mine were first cousins. Valerie, however, went to the same public high school as Isley and I before pregnancies, but Valerie was pretty much a loner. She would speak and carry on. But I guess this pregnancy humbled her. I just think it is a bit strange that she is married even if she does come off as being older. She just seems to think that band of gold makes her a bit better than the rest of us, but I have always felt girls like her cried alone a lot. And I am willing to bet it all that married life is not all she tries to build up. I mean really, I may be the most low self-esteem chick there is, but I gave birth for the first time at 14 and here I am with my second on the way, and I am still not even financially able to support myself. But unlike Valerie, my parents could not stand Tristan and would ship my ass off to West Hell before they would make him marry me. Not that he would anyway. He already said that many times over, usually after he gets his empty-headed orgasm. He wasn't always an asshole. When we first met he was not the boy next door, but he had just moved to Greer, South Carolina from Georgia, and I was the first person he met. He had been cutting grass in his front yard, and as I passed by he looked me up and down as I spoke to him. He nodded but kept on mowing the lawn. As I crossed the street to my house, I heard a wolf whistle. What? Did he just whistle at me? I put on this big grin and turned around, only to see that he was whistling a girl named Courtney and her two friends Tessa and Dree. They ignored him but all saw me and said, "Hey Yael." I smiled and waved back. Of course by the yard boy has the look that said he was not used to being ignored by anyone, especially girls, but Courtney and her crew were good people. But they are not gonna go for Tristan simply because the reason he had to move to Greer in the first place is because he had been in trouble in Georgia for his wannabe balling on a budget ass, got multiple weed charges, and that was the tame shit. Bottom line, he was a bad boy wannabe gangsta. And just like always I was invisible to him and I should have left it at that, but I was always the wallflower. Not that I was ugly. I knew for a fact that wasn't the problem. The problem lay in my own head. I was plain and shy, but I did notice that Tristan was always somewhere lurking, and just one day after walking home from the bus after school with Courtney and her crew, they were asking if I wanted to hang out with them later. It had been a good while since I did anything, so I politely declined, but when they mentioned the carnival they were headed to, I still declined but reached into my purse to give Tessa money to bring me a bag of their monster cotton candy. Courtney said, "Hell nah. You coming with us? We are gonna get you out of the house. You 14 going on 99. I laughed. I am an old soul bitch. You wouldn't understand. Whatever, yay. Just be your ass ready before 7 because you know my brother Cortland is already mad at you for making us wait last time. And I wanna cuss him out, but we need a ride. So be ready." Dree said, "Oh yeah. Before I forget," she said, handing me an invitation to her sleepover. Not that either of us need one, since we had all been tight since K4. "Alright, I will be ready. Bossy ass bitches. Can't stand y'all." We laughed as I stopped to get the mail out of the box and my girls walked down to their homes. I was bending down to pick me purse up and there stood Tristan. "Hey, it is Ye, right?" I was starstruck but I smiled and said, "Ye is short for Funye." He said, cutting me off. I was like, "Are you serious right now?" "No, it is short for Yael, but my given name is Aziel." "So, Aziel, what you got planned for tonight?" I was taken aback actually. "I am hanging out with my girls at a carnival downtown." "Oh, then what?" "Then home. I have a curfew." That is real corny. I wish someone would tell me where, when, or what to do. Well, I am 14 years old. And allergic to an ass whipping. Well, I guess that is a no. I was wondering what he meant, but he just walked back across the street, leaving me wondering what he was talking about. But I just went into the house and got myself a bit comfy until it was time for me to get ready for the carnival. Let the sideshow begin. And lo and behold, 10 minutes earlier than she had predicted, Courtney was banging on my door. As we got into the car, Tessa said, "I hope to hell we don't run up on Hyuri and his boys." Dree said, "Whoa. That I thought you and Hyuri was cool." "Were is absolutely correct. He tried to talk to me but I know how he get down. When he hooked up with my girl Isley he started getting mad whenever she and I hung out. So he got into her head so deep. I don't even know how a dude can fill your head with so much bullshit. He told her that I was gonna tell lies on him because I was a bitch. And I hope the shit is good to her. Because he not worth shit. Hell, I did her a damn favor. Had I not rejected his ass, she would not even be with him. I just listened until then. I thought Hyuri was with this other chick from Sunnyside. I knew of Isley then, but she was always a quiet type girl, a girl who was much like Tessa, only hung with a few people, and much like myself, the awkward soft-spoken type. Whereas Hyuri was an attention whore type guy. He paid attention to whores, which I knew Isley wasn't, so I doubted at the time anything was physical with them. But my mind kept drifting back to Tristan and our earlier conversation. I would get the chance to find out before the night was over. I was too young to date, but if I was in public in a crowd with a guy I liked, then that was innocent. Or would have been had I just stayed my ass home. After the carnival, the girls and I went to McDonald's. Also there were Hyuri, Tristan, and their boy, another atomic dog, Kel. And as we soon found out, these guys didn't zero in on us because we were young. They did so because girls their ages were not having the bullshit. Tristan came up to me and asked, "What up, Yael?" It was Yael, wasn't it? I looked at him. It still is. He looked at me, stunned that I was coming off as a bitch. He said, "Damn. What I do? Nothing, but I give as good as I get, and I felt you saying slick shit." Then not repeat whatever you said makes me think you are arrogant. He looked at me and said, "I asked you to hang out with me. And you refused, not begging, don't care how fine you wanna be." Now see. This was an insult, but I wanted so badly to walk away from him. And I did. But that was the start of the bullshit I must now wallow in. And I regretted it in more ways than one. He lived 2 houses away, but he never came by until he wanted sex. And even then it was a quickie, induced by him telling me that he didn't care how plain and unattractive his friends say I am. He also told me that Courtney and the girls only brought me along as that each clique had to be 4-part harmony, adding that Courtney was the looks, Tessa was the sexy mature one, Dree was the brick house, and I was the laborer. Only an option if the other 3 were unavailable. But I don't care about that stuff. Would rather fuck with you than them fine-ass chicks. Takes too much to please them, but you know the deal. Pretty only get you so far. But you ain't gotta worry. I will fuck you in a heartbeat. Long as you ain't community ass. I was not even feeling this attitude, so what you saying, Tristan? You think I am ugly? If so, then why are you running up inside me every damn chance I give you? He said, "I never said you was ugly. That's your friends who think that. Them hoes can get any dude they want. And believe me when I say they take you along because you not a threat, they be up under their dudes and you walking with them alone and shit. Courtney ain't all that. That bitch tried to think she was too good when I tried to holla. But now I don't give a shit. Watch that bitch hate when she see I fucked her girl, her loss. Now you get to ride this pony. I knew you liked her, so you just used me? See, you don't listen. I just gave you something over her. She will try to be nosy. You tell her how good this shit is. She gonna hate. And one thing the prettiest girls dislike are attractive chicks fucking their rejects. She gonna be trying to fuck now. Watch. Y'all little young girls are petty. But because you cool people, I ain't gonna lie. When she comes begging, and she will come, I am gonna fuck her, maybe make her wifey. But I will still fuck you from time to time. Snapping back to present day and roll call. Yael Martin. Present. Chapter 5. And the day has barely gotten started. After listening to Valerie brag about being married, and Yael complain about Tristan. She was saying nothing new, Tristan was all she talked about. Frankly, that nigga was Hyuri's cousin and dogs run in pack. I will admit Hyuri doesn't treat me much better, but at least I knew my worth. I truly regret having this baby for Hyuri. But I don't regret not having an abortion, I just couldn't, and because of that, Hyuri began to come around less and less, and when he did stop by, it was for sex and quick sex at that. After he left each time, all I could do is wonder if it is the last time. And now that we are in different schools, I know he is doing him, and I was doing all I could to put on my big girl panties and maternity top and act as if all is well. Telling people how he is so excited about my pregnancy when he could care less. My friend Tessa tried to warn me because he had once tried to talk to her even while he and I were together. But at the time I didn't know what to believe, because she said he was trying to get with her. Yet he seemingly couldn't stand her, so like a fool I threw caution to the wind and chose to believe Hyuri over her, and just stopped hanging with her or anyone she dealt with, and now here I am in class chilling with one of Tessa's besties, Yael, who as I said is pregnant for Tristan, Hyuri's cousin, so our kids will be family, and so will we. Not that either Hyuri or Tristan would commit to either us. One thing I do sense about Yael is that she is a liar. But Valerie, who wouldn't know any better when Yael sat there trading info on ourselves, she began, "Tristan looking for a place for us." My eyebrow went up, but she kept at it. I gave Valerie the side eye. She smirked. "And he wanna get custody of Lil Tris. He don't wanna come over because of my parents always looking down on him." Valerie, amused, said, "So he doesn't visit because he doesn't like your parents? Or at least he told you that and you believed him?" Yael, not even considering that Val is being sarcastic, and I try not to laugh. "But damn it. It's funny." Yael continued, "Girl. They always been like that since I got pregnant, which is why back then he came over only after they had gone to bed and only stayed a few minutes. Not one to be messy, but I just had to ask a few minutes? Valerie added a huh. Long enough to get a quickie, no doubt. Yael blushed. Girl. I can't help it if my love is like wha. Valerie and I both just sat and laughed because either this chick was trying to revise the movie Forrest Gump, or if she was really that damn gullible. Just then I get a text from Hyuri. Hyuri. Sorry, can't hang out today. Grandma is flying in for a week. Rain check? Me, you good, wasn't counting on it. After that I got a pic text from both Tanya and Charla. Hyuri talking to this chick he dealt with before me. Looked as if they were arguing. Zooming in, I wanted to faint. Hyuri is handing this bitch an EPT. Chapter 6. You are a better bitch than me. Whatever was in those text messages, they put Isley on total meltdown. Both Yael and I kept whispering to her in class to see what was wrong, yet she totally ignored us, and I could see why. Her shoulders were bobbing and her sobs because audible. Both Yael and I stood to see if she was alright. Then the teacher, Ms. O'Neill, who after calling roll pretty much ignored the class, now decided to say something, and that something came out all wrong, sarcastic and disrespectful, as if we were good eats girls. Stop it. Leave her alone. I told them not to put me over a teen baby mama drama. I was shocked, ma'am. Neither of us are pregnant by the same guy. She got a text message and broke down. And what? She looked at her attendance book. Business is that of yours? I'm Valerie, she is Yael. And it's my business because she is upset and pregnant.